Hello, everybody. Let's look at the review topics for Chapter 10, which is the muscular system. You must know the muscle functions and also the structure of a muscle. What is a muscle fiber? And what are fascicles? You should know the covers or the wrappings of the muscle, which is the Endomysium, Perimysium, and Epimysium. You must know what is a direct and indirect muscle attachment, the difference. What do you mean by muscle compartments? And how are the muscle compartments separated? They're separated by the fascia. You should know the various parts of a muscle, the origin, insertion, and belly. What are intrinsic muscles and what are extrinsic muscles? What are the functional muscle groups, which means what are the agonists, which are the prime movers, antagonist, synergist, and what is a fixator? You should know the agonist and antagonist muscles for movements of the arm, leg, and foot. You should know the arm movements, which is the flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, supination, pronation, medial rotation, and lateral rotation. And what are the main muscles causing these movements? You should know the muscles of respiration, muscles of inspiration, expiration. What are the prime movers for respiration? You should know the diaphragm. You must know the innervation of the diaphragm. Innervation means nerve supply, which is a phrenic nerve. The external and intercostal muscles, the transverse abdominal muscle. This is particularly important for the practical exam. You should know the urogenital triangle. Mainly, you should know the two sphincters there. The urinary sphincter, which prevents urinary, which prevents urinary incontinence, and the anal sphincter, which external anal sphincter. You don't need to know the triangle, but you must know the anal sphincter, which prevents fecal incontinence. Those are sphincter muscles. You should know the muscles of the abdominal wall, the rectus abdominis. Why is the rectus abdominis called the six-pack? The external oblique, internal oblique, transverse abdominal muscle. What are the muscles of the back? And what is the function of the erector spinae muscle? So when you go to the gym and when you're doing exercises, you must think, okay, what are the muscles I'm using now? You should know the pectoral girdle, the anterior group of muscles, which is the pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, serratus anterior. These are the anterior group of muscle. The posterior group of muscle, levator trapezius, levator scapula, rhomboid major and rhomboid minor. These could be for identification in the lab exam. Muscles of the shoulder joint, deltoid, teres major, teres minor, rotator cuff muscles, elbow muscles, brachialis, biceps, brachioradialis, elbow extensors, which is the triceps. What are the antagonist muscles? Biceps and triceps, they are antagonist. What are the pronators of the arm? What are the extensors of the hand and wrist, which are the posterior group of muscles? always the posterior group of muscles are the extensor. And the extensors of the hand, of the wrist are extensor carpi, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor digitorum, and extensor carpi ulnaris. They could be used, I mean, these muscles you should know, especially for the practical exam. Plexus of the hand and the wrist are the anterior group of muscles. These are the flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum, and palmaris longus. What is carpal tunnel syndrome? So you should know what is flexor retinaculum, what is the space, how does the carpal tunnel syndrome develop. So you must know the anatomy in that particular region. You should know the hip flexors, which is iliacus and psoas major. Together they are called the iliopsoas. You should know the hip extensor, which is the gluteus maximus. That's the main hip extensor. That's what gives you the lift when you're climbing the stairs. You should know the hip adductors, the pectinus, adductor longus, gracilis, adductor magnus, and adductor brevis. You should know the knee extensors, which are the quadriceps femoris, or simply known as the quads. This consists of the rectus femoris, vastus medialis, lateralis, and intermedius. You should know the knee extensor, which are the hamstring muscles. There are three muscles: biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. You should know the what is the dorsiflexion of the foot, and what is plantar flexion of the foot. The muscles which causes dorsiflexion are tibialis anterior, fibularis longus, which is also known as peroneus, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus, which is the extensor of the big toe. And you should know the plantar flexion muscles, which are the gastrocnemius, or otherwise known as the calf muscle, and the soleus. And you must know what is hernia, because that's a common problem. And that's it. That's all you need to know in chapter 10. Okay.